All right, guys, welcome to Living No Excuses with Noah Galloway. I'm Noah Galloway, and if you'll look back, we've done several episodes, and a lot of that was just kind of telling my story, but now we're transitioning. We want to share stories of a lot of amazing people out there, and I'm excited to talk to our first guest that's sharing stories of just amazing people, and that's Stephen Moore. If you go on to Instagram, he is the Cybernetic Strongman, which I think is an awesome name. He's a world level strongman, a coach, personal growth leader, and I am excited to have you on the show. Stephen, how are you doing?
Man, Noah, thanks for having me. It's so good to be here.
Oh no, it's when we were getting ready to record and we were adjusting things, I did say it and I meant it. Your background looks awesome. What are the
Oh, thank you.
belts?
So the belts are this is 2021, 22, and 23 America's Strongest Athlete with Disabilities. Then we have let's see my first World Championship, the Magnus and Adaptive World Championships 2023, 2024 Arnold's UK second place 2022. And then these are local, and then worlds from 21 and 22, second and third place. Um, so yeah, this is just stuff I'm really proud of. Stuff I never thought I'd accomplish when I got
Yeah,
started.
no, it's awesome, dude. Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
think it looks good behind you, and I know you're proud of it. All right, so you mentioned an adaptive athlete. Tell everybody. Well, you know what? Let's not worry about telling everybody. Just tell me what happened. How did you end up an adaptive athlete, and what is an adaptive athlete?
I've been an athlete since I guess basically 13 years old. I started playing football in middle school, but what really um, lit me up on fire, it was powerlifting in high school. So I started powerlifting at age 14. Did that all through high school. I went to Louisiana Tech University to powerlift. Did that for a few years, and yeah, I was just a strength. I've been a strengthener since I was 14. So just trying to become the strongest version of myself. It's what caused me to become a strength coach. So I geek out on being strong and helping other people be strong. And when I moved to Austin in 2015 to start my personal training career, um, you know, I before too long I met met somebody online, started dating, started talking about marriage, got engaged. It was like life was going just according to plan. It was phenomenal. And then February of 2016, um, we don't have to go into the whole relationship thing, but like things went from going really great to that night. She sat me down and said, I'm rethinking things. Let's put marriage plans on pause, which was just knife in the heart. That was one of the darkest nights, but it was about to get much darker. On my way home on my motorcycle, I was just contemplating life. What does this mean? The end of this relationship, and I was sitting at an intersection waiting to turn left. Finally got my green arrow to turn left. As I was going through, next thing I know, I'm flying through the air. I had been T-boned by a drunk driver going about 50 miles an hour. Um, and and yeah, so I'm like, I came to a stop on the ground, and once reality set back in, I remember all of this like it was yesterday. Laying on the ground, screaming so loud, I was having like an out of body experience. It's like I was watching somebody else die. It's like I was experiencing somebody else's pain, and then it was I I was like, I've never felt pain like this. This is the pain you feel when you die. This is not normal. I try to look up and inspect my leg, which was in pain, and by this point, all these people had gathered around me to try and help. The drunk driver had fled the scene, but all these people stopped to help. And this lady pushed my head back down and said, "No, you don't want to see it." I was like, "Oh shit!" So finally, the ambulance gets there, but they couldn't give me pain meds until they get me to the hospital and scan my brain first. And so I'm just in agony, and I'm asking them over and over again, like, am I going to die? Like, this is bad, right? And they said, no, you're not going to die, but you are going to lose your leg. And um, that's when the memories start to fade a little bit. They got me there, scanned my brain, and then I was out. And when I woke up, I was in the hospital bed, and I don't remember how many minutes passed that I remembered. Oh yeah, that just happened. So I looked down, and there was it's like I looked down at what was left of my leg, and that's when it hit me. I was like, that's when the hope just drains from my body, and I was like, that's it for my career. That's it for squats. This thing I've been pursuing. That's it. So that was I guess that was technically when I became an adaptive athlete, or when I would have had to decide if I was going to do that. So
Now, how long did it take you? Because obviously, and I know as well, you have these, everybody's a little different, but the negative thoughts start coming in. Like you said, I'm not going to squat again. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. What was the point that, how long did it take you to realize, okay, wait a minute, I can transition and I can shift gears and do this in a different way? That it's still possible.
yeah, I mean, honestly, it definitely came in phases. But I remember when I first felt hope again. I had all kind of visitors in the hospital. I had people I hadn't seen since college who drove from all over the place, family, friends, church members, and but the visitor that changed my life was a guy that I don't know his name, never got his name, don't remember what he looks like, but he walked in. I just remember this just kind of young guy walked in, sat down next to my bed, and he pulled his pant leg up. The only part I remember is he pulled his pant leg up and he had a prosthetic leg. And I thought, whoa, this guy walked in here like a normal dude.
Yeah.
He wasn't walking weird. He just walked in here, sat down, showed me his leg. And I later found out not who he was, but that he represented Hanger Clinic, who has been making my prosthetics this whole time. Um, but he came, dropped off some materials, and was preparing me, for to hook up with Hanger Clinic and get my prosthetic made. But that was when I realized, oh, like it's not over. I didn't know how far I could go, but I was like, that's when I kind of decided. That's when it shifted from primarily feeling hopeless to like just the little glimmer of a spark that would become a fire at some point.
Yeah.
And yeah, then just um, so many stories of how it just kind of built and built and built, with trying, getting back to the gym. Tons of stories there, but that was the first moment when I realized it was possible.
Yeah. You mentioned trying to go back to the gym. I know for me personally, after I was injured, fitness was big for me. And it was like I'd try to start working out again and I'd fall out. I
Mm.
worked with a trainer, then I quit. I mean, it took a while before it caught again. Did you have
Mm.
those kind of experiences?
Not
Or
in terms.
did you get in the gym? You're like, no, this is where I live. This is where I belong. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I can't take all the credit. I had so much support.
Yeah.
I was able to, I needed help with day to day stuff, so I moved in with my mom and stepdad, and they took care of me. And oh my gosh, I am getting tingles remembering it. I was training people out of a local gym in Austin called Hyde Park Gym, oldest gym in Austin. I still love that place. Um, while I was in the hospital and recovering, they planned a just a local members only powerlifting competition to raise funds to help me pay for my medical bills. And so they got sponsors from all over town. They had guest lifters come from Dallas to lift, and um, they sent me home that night after that comp with $8,500 cash just to use toward medical bills and whatever I needed. So I had all this support around me, and yeah, like I never looked back. As the day one I hit the gym, I was back to training 4 days a week, and I don't know if day one it was 4 days a week, but it was like I never looked back. I never backed out. I was full force, and In fact, we had an annual push pull competition at that gym, and that year, so 4 months to the day of my not to the day, but 4 months after the accident, I deadlifted 435 pounds again.
That's amazing.
Uh,
So how long did it take you to get on your prosthetic?
uh, Basically, from crash to walking again was about 2.5 months.
Yeah. Now, how long did it take you, for anybody watching that doesn't know what it's like to be an amputee, but then for those of us that are amputees, how long did it take you to adjust to going heavy with weight and it being on that residual limb in that prosthetic? Because that's
Um,
just pushing weight into it.
so, and all the amputees listening know that it's all about how it's designed, how good your prosthetist designs your prosthetic, so that it's not so that your residual limb, the bottom of it, isn't bearing weight. It's all about for I'm a below the knee amputee, uh, and so most of the weight is kind of going around my knee, like right up to my kneecap and around that area. And so luckily, there's no if it's designed well, and I'm managing my skin and all that. That the downward pressure alone, like the deadlift, wasn't particularly painful. Um, it was things like squats that took the longest to get back to. That's the lift I'm most proud of in terms of where I'm at now, because it took me it took me 7 years to get back to what I was squatting. Um, but deadlift, I was a year after that. I deadlifted 500 pounds, but deadlifts came back the quickest because there's not much knee flexion. So technically, in terms of the leg, it held me back the least in terms of what I could do before and after, I guess.
Now, do you ever catch yourself, or did you at the beginning and you adjusted as you started doing squats? Did you ever find yourself, or do you find yourself relying heavily on your non-injured leg? Like, do you push more from one side?
At first, it was very hard, but as a coach, I I didn't want to let that happen. I was like, I'm gonna, I tried my best. I was like, I didn't, eh, to the best of my ability, I didn't increase weight to the point where I would massively shift over. I would, like, best I could, I would keep the weight light enough that I could, at least visually, it looked even and felt relatively even. For the first few years, there was when I got heavy, there was a visible shift on the way back up, but not too terrible. And these days, it's pretty invisible, but that took a long time, and I don't even know what to attribute to that except for stubbornness, because I there's no magic trick.
Well, I'll tell you what I heard was you did what so many of us know and we tell other people, but it's hard for us to do it, and it's to gradually
Mm.
build that up. That's the hardest thing to do. You go in the gym,
Oh,
there's other people around, you're like, well, I got to go big. Especially, I feel like, as an adaptive athlete, you tended to want to be like, well, I'm going to show people what I can do. But then it shows obviously, what an incredible coach you are, because, so many coaches, it's easy to tell somebody something, but then to truly practice what they preach. That's amazing. I commend you on
yeah.
that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I didn't always practice what I preach. There's days when you're like, you know, it's not
Well, you're only
perfect, but I
human,
do my,
Stephen.
yeah, yeah. No, absolutely do my best to practice what I preach in that regard, because that's one of the hardest things to get clients to do, is to most people who come to me don't need me to yell at them to push themselves to get stronger. They need me to I need to pull them back and be like, look,
Yeah.
you can't go 100% every workout. Can't do it. Um, but yeah, that brings up a point that I like to talk about. But it's a principle I call play at your level. So after the accident, I'm not the same athlete. I'm not the same person. My body is different. So it would obviously be stupid to waltz back into the gym and try and squat 500 pounds again, which is what I did 4 days before the accident. Um, so I get back to the gym, and it's bittersweet, right? Because last time I was there, one of the last times I was there, I squatted 500 pounds, and I'm rolling in there in a wheelchair. I was still, before I got my prosthetic, I'm like, nope, going in, I'm doing upper body, I'm doing whatever. I was just, I couldn't stay out of the gym that long. So I get in there and I'm like, I'm just going to do the easy stuff, right? I'm going to do I'm going to do seated rows. I'm going to do some chest press. I'll do some leg press with my left leg. It's all good. But then I saw the log in the corner, the strongman log, and I was like, could I put that over my head right now? And I was like 25 at the time, so of course uh, better judgment did not prevail. I went over and like with one, no prosthetic yet. I just balancing on one leg. I cleaned it, couple of hops, 100 pounds, nothing terribly exciting, but um, definitely a two-legged person activity. Wouldn't recommend that for someone hobbling on one leg, but I did it. No, I didn't up on a fail compilation, but I didn't learn the lesson just yet. Workout was over. Time to shower. Go to the locker room. Get in the shower, and I decided it'd be a good idea to stand up and try and balance on one leg in a slippery shower. Again, two-legged person activity. So then I go, I need to hop a little closer to the water. Hop, land, slip, residual limb on the ground, and there were still stitches in it.
Yeah.
So thankfully, it didn't hinder my recovery, but getting scooped up off the ground, butt naked by your gym friends will teach you some things.
Yes.
So the lesson is play at your own level. I tell people if your habits are a video game, you would probably learn the buttons before you play the final boss. And so I'm starting all over. Like I wasn't new to lifting, but this body was, and I was trying to do things that I wasn't ready for yet. And that seems obvious when it comes to gym stuff, but when it comes to day-to-day habits, breaking bad habits, building new habits, like people think they need to start at level 10 and then they get confused as to why they quit 3 months in.
I love what you just said. Like that saying, that was perfect. I wasn't new to lifting, but this body was. Like that is a huge, valuable lesson for so many people. I'm probably going to quote you on that somewhere in the future because I'll give you credit for it because that sounds. I love that. I two questions. One, I tell you, it's funny you mentioned the shower. Like that is something that, like me being a leg amputee, and I travel a lot and I stay at a lot of hotels.
Yeah.
And then when you tell hotels you need an accessible room, that varies in every hotel because most time they're thinking a wheelchair or something or something else that makes it a little more accessible. But then on top of it, and I even looked into it, why are hotel bathrooms just slippery? And it's because the shiny floors look more expensive.
Oh gosh.
So fancier the hotel, the more dangerous their bathrooms are.
Oh man.
But I'm gonna ask you two questions. If you don't like them, we can edit this out. One, easy one. I see your motorcycle helmet behind you. One, do you still ride? And was that the one? Was that the one on the shelf? Was that the one you were wearing when you were?
Yeah. This is you see these.
I saw that. I was wondering. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the helmet that probably saved my life. I had just upgraded from a $300 Bell helmet to a $800 Shoei helmet, like a few weeks beforehand. So I was like, wow, that's someone's looking out for me there. But and then so for the sake of my mom's sanity, because she hated when I rode, I waited about a year, and then I got another bike. I got the same. It was a 2012 Triumph Street Triple, unbelievable bike, and I was like, no, same bike. I just wanted that bike again, and I rode for a few more years. Actually, good, but it was my primary vehicle beforehand, which is why I was riding at night, which is not a good idea. So I got a bike as just a toy, so I could ride it only on days when it made the most sense. But my dad, who's been a police officer for longer than I've been alive, and he escorts funerals on his motorcycle as a part-time job. He's been doing that for over 30 years, and 5 or 6 years after my accident, for the first, he had never been in a serious accident ever. And while escorting a funeral, some old guy cut through the procession when my dad was heading back to the front and T-boned my dad. And he's okay, but he was almost 60 years old when this happened, and he broke several bones and was out of work for 6 months. And when I saw him in the hospital, it brought everything back, and I just lost it. I lost it, and I was like, I just, I love writing so much, but I was getting serious with the woman who's now my wife, and I was like, it's not just about me anymore. Like I can't not be here for her and for my family. And so I sold the bike, but it was a great few years afterwards. And I'm glad I got back on because it was terrifying, but I think it's really important to face those fears. So
Yeah. Now, so you say who's your wife now? Who's going to be your wife? Are you married right now? I'm sorry.
I'm married now for 2 years
Okay,
now.
yeah, yeah. Okay, awesome. Y'all have any kids?
Not yet. We'd like to start next year.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah, yeah.
so y'all living in Austin now?
Yes.
Okay. Now, are your parents in Austin? You said you lived away and you moved to
Mm.
Austin, or did you move away at some point and they're
So
from there?
so I'm originally from Southeast Texas, Beaumont. And my dad's still a police officer there. My mom and stepdad live here in Pflugerville, just a suburb of Austin. So my
Yeah.
mom lives really close to me, sister as well, but my dad still lives in Southeast Texas.
Okay. All right. So at
Yeah,
least y'all are somewhat close. How far is it to your dad's from Austin?
4.5 hours.
Okay. Yeah, I have to ask that because Texas
Yeah.
is
Oh,
huge. Every friend I have from
yeah.
Texas, like where I live, I'm like, well, Atlanta's like 2.5 hours away. They're like, what? That's an afternoon drive. That's nothing.
Do you live
Like
in
the people
Georgia?
in Texas. No, no. I live in Alabama,
Oh, well,
but
okay.
things aren't that far from
Oh,
us.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but we're used to it. We're like,
Yeah,
I don't know. But everyone from Texas is like, oh, 4 hours. That's nothing.
yeah. It's crazy. It's so
Yeah.
big.
I'm out in Austin a lot. Next time
Oh,
I'm
cool.
out there, we'll have to get together. I
Absolutely.
would love to meet you in person. Now, let
Yeah.
me ask you this. Now, what have you done mental health work with, an acceptance of what happened or what it brought out, what you've dealt with, overcoming, and maybe what you use for as a coach and as an athlete to just make yourself better? Are you doing anything like that?
Working with a professional, you mean?
Yeah, or anything. No, I mean it could vary. Like everyone
Oh,
has
okay.
their
Yeah.
own way of doing mental health. Like
Yeah.
what does Stephen do to
Yeah.
make sure you are there? And I mean you just your vibe already just on screen. I can tell you have this really cool vibe. I'm not surprised so many
Oh,
people
thank you.
showed up to be there for you. You just have that demeanor. But
Thank
what do
you.
you do to keep yourself, I don't want to say in check, but to always be improving yourself
Yeah.
mentally and emotionally.
I mean, after the accident, it was, my faith in God was huge. Just like believing that um, everything's not necessarily orchestrated by God, but can be used by God. And so I believe that what happened to me, as tragic as it was, and it was tragic, that we don't want to just paint over it and say no big deal. But if I wanted to, I could create a story that would give other people hope. And like from the very beginning, I remember being just given that vision of this is bigger than me. If I give up, this won't become that story. I won't help those people. And when I started posting on Instagram and seeing people's reactions and going, okay, like let's go, like this isn't just about me. And so that's one thing um, a lot of people talk about creating a vision and but they don't really talk about what that means. It's a very, very almost cliche thing in the personal development world, but I believe it's extremely important. It's just important how you do it. I say clarity of vision turns fear of failure into a cause for courage. And but it's got to be deeper than, I want a six pack. I want to make more money. I want to bench 315. It's like, no, like what? Like who do you want to be in 10 years? And it should be based less on outcomes and more on character and who you're trying to become. So like, when's the last time you sat down and thought, who do I want to be in terms of my faith, my friends, my family, my finances, how I have fun, and don't get so married to necessarily like one huge outcome, like I want to become the world's strongest man, because maybe you don't have the genetics for that. Maybe most people don't.
Yeah.
Um, and so, I mean, I don't. If I had lost my leg, I wouldn't have become world's strongest man. There's levels to this thing, and that's um, but that vision is bigger than myself. So like, I don't know how many um, people listening are Lord of the Rings fans. I don't know if Noah, you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, but
Huge.
okay. So yeah, I. The only reason I don't watch it all the time is because I don't want to get sick of it. But when I think about a vision bigger than yourself, I think of the moment that always makes you cry like a little baby, which is when on the third movie, Frodo and Sam are almost there, and Aragorn and everyone he could rally together was at the Black Gates, and the enemy was aware of the situation, was charging them, and they're like realizing this is it. We're not going to make it out of this. But Aragorn looks back and he says, "For Frodo,"
Yeah.
and then everyone just gets after it for Frodo. It's like and it's that's so powerful. Like if he had turned around and said, like for me, or for even if it was like for Middle Earth, it's like there's something so powerful about for Frodo. Like who's that? Who is this really about? Are you living for yourself? Are you living to help other people?
That falls perfectly into, you said that once you realize like this makes an impact on other people. I've had that same experience. And there, you can't put a value on what you benefit from knowing you've helped someone else. You've
Mm,
motivated them. You've done something for, they always say that the best gift is one you give. And
mm.
that is 100% true when it comes to motivating people. I completely agree with you on that. I think that people that haven't experienced that yet, they just don't know. Because there's like, yeah, and we all want to make money, but doing something good and making an impact, that's one of the reasons why I even started a podcast. Everyone's got a podcast now, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I want to continue doing something that is assisting someone else. And I do feel like sharing these stories like yours is going to motivate somebody. Because just like you know as well as I do, there are going to be people injured that are working out and need someone like you, just like that guy from Hanger that walked
Mm.
in and showed you his leg, and you're like, wait a minute, like I thought this is like just this person didn't have a prosthetic, then he did, and it changed your entire outlook.
And that's such a like all he did. I don't remember anything about him. He didn't come in and deadlift 500 pounds right in front of me.
Yeah, he just
He
was
just showed
like,
me his leg.
yeah,
That's all I remember. I only remember seeing him walk normally and then realizing he's an amputee just like me. That's all it took to encourage me. People, it takes such little encouragement these days because nobody gets it to change someone's life. So
yeah,
imagine if this guy who came in there and did that changed my life, and he's the reason I'm sitting here with these trophies behind me. Like what? Like even if it's just one person, what could you? Who could you do that for? One person by just pursuing what you know you need to be pursuing.
yeah. And then there's that ripple effect because that guy probably
Uh,
wasn't even into fitness. You know what I mean? And it didn't matter. It didn't matter. He encouraged you to continue doing what you're doing, which will ripple, and you'll motivate people that aren't even into fitness just to take care of themselves. I love that. Now, what has been the hardest thing you've dealt with in life since being an amputee, aside from taking a shower?
yeah, that's a dangerous one. In fact, I had round two where I hadn't learned the lesson yet in Iceland. World's Strongest Man, the World's Strongest Disabled Man the first time. In between day one and day two, I did that again. I was like, you got to be kidding me. But yeah, no, that wasn't the hardest thing. I've dealt with depression and anxiety my entire life, and although I was more fired up about life and fitness and coaching after the accident than I ever was, um, this new vision, this new outlook, that's no match for your bad habits. Like humans naturally navigate in a negative direction, and your your habits are they're automations that you're not going to just stop doing because you're excited about something. You can't go to a weekend seminar with Tony Robbins and come back and your bad habits melt away. Um, I like to say your bad habits are like a well paved highway with no traffic, well lit, and an 80-mile-an-hour speed limit. The way is paved for you and your bad habits. Like you, it's one of those things like you're like on the way to work and you know that path so well that you just kind of blink and oh, I'm there because you're going autopilot. It's just that's how your bad habits work. You don't have to. So, but your good habits are more like standing in front of a forest at night with armed with nothing but a flashlight and a machete. This new path I'm on wasn't going to be like that highway. It was going to be like one little inch at a time, hacking through trees and limbs, and who knows what creatures are there. So like when you're pursuing something purposeful and you're relying on motivation, it's going to be between 2 weeks and 2 months, and you're going to be back on that highway unless you audit your automations. You have to get in there and start asking yourself, what am I doing on a daily basis that's taking me away from what I'm meant to be? And so for me, for a long time, that like my vices all stem around hiding from my anxiety, hiding from my pain. And so that's, alcohol, video games, social media, and on and off. I never became like who the heck knows how you define, strictly speaking, alcoholism. Um, I'm at the very least very, very prone to becoming an alcoholic. And maybe someone from AA would say, oh, you're definitely an alcoholic. But on and off for a long time, I I had a habit of just I go home, I drink beer, I play video games, and I try to not just to get the demons out of my head and just go somewhere else. And I think I don't think I know I would be stronger today and would have had fewer injuries as an athlete if I had realized that tendency earlier on. And it obviously it made my depression worse, it made my anxiety worse, it made me worse at my job, it made me worse at encouraging people. All the things I was working towards that was working against me. And so um, we could go into whatever you want on that, but I would say that's probably the biggest struggle was just letting my bad habits of hiding from my mental pain were the darkest times.
Well, you mentioned the drinking, and about 3 years ago, I took a break from drinking, and then after 6 months, I was like, you know what, I'm good. I don't think I need to drink anymore. I feel really good not drinking. And so then I always make a joke out of it, but there's always some truth to a joke. I always tell people, you know, I'm not going to say I had a drinking problem before, but I don't now. You know what I'm saying? So, so it leaves it to the eye of the beholder. Because like I would self medicate with alcohol. The same thing, just
Yeah.
hiding from feelings and emotions and denial. I was in denial for a long time with my injury. It took me a
Mm,
long time to like I was doing a lot of crazy races, things like that, but not in a healthy way. Like I didn't have the mindset. Like that's what I love about what you said about I may not have been new to lifting, but I'm new to this body. Like I love that because I jumped back in full force like nothing had happened, and now I'm paying the price for it in my 40s. You know what I mean? Like
mm,
everything's breaking down because I wasn't doing it in a healthy way. But
gotcha.
you have done so much improvement and development, and I've been injured just coming up on 20 years. You're coming up on 10 years. I'm super impressed, Stephen. And, not only as a world level strongman and a coach, but you also do personal growth leadership. And I can hear it in your voice and things you say. Like, tell me about that. What are you doing? How are you helping people? And could you share some stuff with us?
Yeah. So basically, it's a newer. I mean, it's brand new. I've been a coach for what this year will be 11 years. I've been a coach, and I've devoured personal development books and podcasts and Like Jocko's one of my favorite. Love that. I was listening to him earlier today. But so that I've always kind of tried to weave that into my coaching where it's appropriate, and never pretending to be a psychologist, but just like recognizing struggles that people have that are similar to mine, and just sharing what has helped me. And about 6 months ago, I started. Um, I was like, I want to build my own personal brand, and learn, just taking everything I've learned from other people. And uh, you know, I I strongly believe that like the best books out there on this stuff, the best speakers out there, they're just recognizing ancient truths. They're not, almost never are they this wizard that came up with, they didn't, and the best speakers will tell you, like, I didn't come up with this. I
Yeah.
recognized it. I learned it from others. I learned it from who knows where, but, so I'm just want to be a conduit of everything I've learned. And, it's all filtered through the lens of my experience as an athlete and someone who struggled with doubting myself. Self doubt has been one of my biggest struggles, not as much as an athlete, but as a coach and as someone who could build a business that can help people. Um, and so, yeah, just taking stuff I've struggled with and turning that into a way to help others. Um, so I'm working on, 6 principles, that I've pulled from all over the place, to help people do whatever their version is of what I've done, overcoming the impossible, um, and overcoming pain, or at least finding a healthy way to cope with it. So, um, what I've already described so far is, creating a vision, and I want to come up with a deeper way than I've heard in the past of like what that really looks like. Um, and then the problem with just having a vision and just having goals generally, the problem with it is you're not going to motivate yourself out of a bad habit. Like those things are entrenched. Like it took you years to build those. It's going to take you years to break them down. Um, and so, like, what does it look like to discover what those bad habits are, and then what does it look like to, uh, starve the beast, so to speak, which are your bad habits, and what does it look like to slowly hack your way through that forest to that dragon that hoards gold on the other side of that forest. And playing at your own level is the next thing, because people, New Year's resolutions are a fantastic example. People go, all right, I'm doing this. I'm going to the gym. And then, the trainer's like, oh man, January's going to be so busy. New clients, which is great, but it's just this sad thing that everybody knows, that it's only going to be busy for a month or so. And that's because, with the best of intentions, people are biting off more than they can chew. And they're like, it's all from a good place. They want to change their lives. But it's, like I said, it's obvious that I shouldn't have pressed a log over my head on day one back in the gym. It's obvious that I shouldn't try to stand up in the shower. Those are physical, obvious limitations. But when it comes to personal development, habit change, people go, all right, I'm going to change 10 habits. I'm going to create 10 new habits. And at the end of this year, I'm going to be like this completely different person in all of those areas. And again, that's like starting at level 10 when you don't know the buttons for the game. And so is when it comes to bad habits, like, you don't want to gradually get rid of your bad habits. You need to choke them out. But when it comes to your good habits, start at level 1 and be humble enough to do, like you'd rather level 1 be embarrassing. Like, you're not going to go to you're not going to post on social media and brag that you did this tiny little thing, but you've got to do that before you go to level 2, and do what you can do consistently before you go to level 2 and level 3. And forget short term about that ultimate out, like the zoomed out outcome. You want to zoom out to decide, where am I going, and then zoom way back in, figure out those habits, start where you are, be honest about where that is, and then just enjoy it. Just enjoy, like, for me, like, and I don't know if I can take credit for this, but it just it came naturally, this idea that I didn't instantly compare myself to who I was before the accident. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like, oh, why aren't I squatting 500 pounds again? Why isn't this happening quicker? I was just, oh my gosh, I squatted 135 again. And I showed everybody. I posted on social media, I'm like, I squatted a plate. It's like I was a beginner all over again. It
Yeah.
was awesome. And I was like, 2 plates, 3 plates. And then and I just it was about getting better. It was about those incremental steps and truly celebrating those. It's a big deal to hit those little tiny milestones.
Yeah. No, I think, patience is something that we all struggle with, and we see it in the gym all the time. I mean, you do. You see the New Year's, and I've always said it too. I was like, there's not a single thing wrong with the New Year's resolution. Is people try to go super big, super early. They go too strict on their diet, whatever it is, and they burn out. And it takes time. And I can completely relate. One of the things I've always said about when I got back in the gym after losing my arm, my leg, I was injured in 2005. So about 2007, beginning of 2007, I was really trying to get back in the gym, and it was like I was a beginner again, and I loved it. It was, not everybody gets to experience that again.
Yeah.
And to try to tell that to people who are like, man, I worked out back in the day, and then you tell they haven't for a long time. It's like, well, now's your chance to feel that experience again of just slowly evolving and becoming what you want to be. I think it's awesome what you're doing, Stephen.
Oh, thank you, Noah.
Yeah, no, it's like, and you seem so, well, genuine and real. And I'll tell you something that you said earlier that really struck me was because, dude, I mean, you're a guy's guy. Like you're muscular. You got a cool beard. Everything about it looks awesome. And you're like, yeah. And then I was like, and then I went, and when your dad was in his accident, and you're like, and you just broke down. Like admitting that stuff, I feel like a lot of time us men, there's women that are the same way. I know women that are just as, hardened, and they try to hold that in, and it does nothing good for us. I'm not encouraging people to just walk around the grocery store and start bawling. There's a time and a place. But if you feel emotions, like, you don't hold them in. And it sounds like
Yeah.
you're really in tune to who you are. And I think it's amazing, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm super excited to, one, share your story, and two, to next time I'm out in Austin to get together with you.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, we've got two things we want to do on the show. One, I'll do in a minute. We actually, because you were coming on, we filmed this in a gym. Like we're in a room. There's
cool.
a gym over there. My buddy Chuck hosts strongman competitions. Like, he's all in that world. And a lot of people in the gym actually had some questions for you before you even came on.
Oh, that's cool.
Super excited about you. Let's see. Okay, this is actually a good one. This is from Chuck. Chuck wants to know your favorite strongman event.
Oh, the favorite event. Oh, man. That's really
And I'm going to add to it. I want to know what your favorite strongman event is when you're doing whatever level it is, but when you're doing it against able-bodied and when you're doing adaptive. I want to know both of those.
Okay. The first thing that comes to mind is yoke. Because, first of all, for every athlete, it's the heaviest thing you can do.
Yeah, Chuck loves that.
It's the heaviest thing you can do. It's like, because you only got to pick it up that high off the ground, so you can load that sucker up. And even before, I'm way stronger than I was when I did this, but so I weigh 255 now. I was like 225, 230 when I carried a 700-pound yoke on my back with a prosthetic leg for 50 feet. 700 pounds. Like,
I don't want to interrupt too much, but no,
Yeah.
After we get done here, I got to show you the video of him carrying a car.
Oh, the Volkswagen?
Yeah.
Oh,
you about to say that?
that was bucket list. That was like, it actually wasn't as heavy as the 700-pound yoke, but visually and just being inside that car while you're trucking down the lane, it was just like, get you fired up. But it's my favorite because not just because you can just go really, really heavy, but it's like it means a lot to me emotionally. It's like it's the most ridiculous, impossible looking thing because I have a prosthetic leg, and it represents what I've done to come back. It represents what you can literally and metaphorically hold on your shoulders and carry forward. And so yoke.
Love it. Now, what about as an adaptive athlete? Same thing.
Like against
it kind of sounds like
athletes?
it would be kind of be the same thing.
It's cooler against able-bodied athletes because it's like hold my
It
beer,
really
watch
stands
this.
out. Yeah.
And yeah, because you're the only guy there doing that. And everyone's just like, what is happening right now? But against adaptive athletes, I mean, oh man, just to mix it up. Another one of my favorites is log. It's also really challenging as an adaptive athlete because any kind of a press, you can't, if you don't have an ankle, you can't triple extend. So you can't get as much leg drive. Anything explosive, you can't be as explosive. And balance is crazy. And the log is one of the hardest things to balance over your head. And so I was so close recently, like painfully close to getting a 300-pound log in the gym. I'd done 290 and I was like, okay, let's, my coach gave me permission to try 300. And I was here and I barely lost my balance and I had to drop it in front of me because I was going to fall backwards. But there's almost nothing more primal and exciting than locking out a personal best over your head. So,
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, that actually goes into a great. So Alex is Chuck's wife.
No, that's one of our.
Oh, who's that?
That's a different Alex.
Oh, never mind. Not his wife. Different Alex. Said, what is the difference between an adaptive athlete and a non-adaptive athlete? For example, are you pitted against only leg amputee athletes? That's actually a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's actually it's a struggle in the sport. It's a struggle to choose the right categories. I don't envy the promoters who have to decide those things, but how it currently works is there's 4 categories. There's standing class 1, standing class 2, seated class 1, seated class 2. Standing class 1, which is me, is anybody from below the knee amputee all the way, and I say all the way up, as in it's kind of like, I'm the most disabled you can be and still be in that category, because you can also be in that category if you're hearing impaired, visually impaired, ataxia, basically anything where you can stand and walk and carry the weights, but the disability doesn't keep you from carrying the weights and
Now, would a
deadlifting and
double
walking.
below the knee amputee fall into that same category, or does that move?
Probably that would be a judgment call. The
Okay.
problem would be, and they may be able to, in that case, it would be if they wanted to, like you can go up and disadvantage yourself if you want, but I think they would be allowed to do seated class 1.
CD class 1, okay.
So standing class 2 is one arm or only the use of one arm. So
Okay.
James Spurgeon, for example, has both arms, but he has an injury that killed the nerve going down his arm, and so he can't use it at all, basically. And so he's in standing class 2, way stronger than me, by the way. I'm so glad he doesn't compete against me. But so, and then seated class 1 is you're in a chair, but otherwise you're fully functional.
Yeah.
And seated class 2 is wheelchair plus a neurological component. So like cerebral palsy and things like that.
Yeah, no, it does. Like I've even noticed in things I've done in the past, like it's a lot of. I've shown up to events that they weren't prepared, and I didn't get upset that there was no way of placing me. But there's so much that goes into because every injury is so different.
Yes.
So different.
Yeah. So they really like Chris Vaccio. I can't. Sing his praises enough. He's the he hosts the America's Strongest Athlete with Disabilities, and he puts a lot of thought and care and design into the events and the equipment, and to keep us not just safe, but to like show us off. It's like he doesn't pity us. He's like, let's push you as hard as we can without killing you.
Yeah. Well, that's what you want. That's your mindset. That's what you'd have done before you got injured. You want to be pushed. You want to be challenged. That's awesome. I love that. Now and before I go to the next question, as you mentioned him.
And Magnus for Magnuson, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Magnus for Magnuson has his thing as well, right? Or is it there?
Yeah. So he hosts. longer than I've been around, but for maybe since the inception of, and it's had different names. World's Strongest Disabled Man, currently the Magnus ver Magnuson Adaptive World Championship. He started Disabled Strongman in Iceland with a business partner, and they so it's like those two guys kind of together. Chris and Magnus have probably the two biggest players in the adaptive world. And so yeah, my first Worlds was in Iceland, hosted by Magnus, which before even competing, it was just like, like childhood dream, like unbelievable. Yeah. And he's so humble and giving of his time. Like, I mean, he doesn't make any money. I mean, most strongman promoters don't anyways, but you're not making any money hosting adaptive shows. Let's just be honest.
He's doing it because he wants to.
Yeah.
He knows what it's doing. He's found that same thing, that feeling of helping someone else is the most powerful thing out there. And that's amazing, because now a lot of men and women get to compete in things. That is awesome. Yeah,
and that community, the adaptive community, man, if you ever get a chance to go watch an adaptive show, it will change your life. And if you can interact with the athletes, like it's I didn't serve in the military, but I've listened to enough podcasts where it sounds like one of the love languages is throwing insults at each other and making fun of your injuries and putting each other down in a loving way. And that's like what we do. It's like we're poking fun at our injuries and like, oh yeah, well at least I don't have to deal with this, and well at least I can still do this. And but it's an incredible community, and despite my accomplishments, just I think the most meaningful thing has just been the people I've been able to meet.
Yeah. No, the disabled community, I had never heard the most, what some would consider offensive jokes in my life until I started hanging around people with disabilities that have been disabled for years, and they're just so comfortable.
Oh, man.
And they just throw them around. Yeah, it's awesome. All right, let's see. Melanie is another member here at the gym. What would you say to someone who suffers a traumatic event and loses motivation to keep pushing? So it's just a traumatic, something happened, someone lost their motivation, they've come to you, they're like, what would you say to them? What are your words of encouragement?
Oh, I mean, first of all, like I having people around was game changing. Like you can't manufacture friends out of nowhere, but like I would say for people who aren't dealing with that right now, like don't ever undervalue the importance of friends and family. And if you are in that position, just like call on anybody who you care about, who cares about you. Don't do it alone. You don't get bonus points for doing it alone. I would not be here talking to you today without the support from countless people. Related to whatever you're dealing with, like if this is your friend going through it, what would break your heart if they said to you, like if you visit your friend in the hospital, switch it around. Your friend's in the hospital or dealing with what you're dealing with, you go to visit them, and if they sit there and just say, it's not worth it, I'm done, I quit, you would get angry. If you loved them, you'd get angry. Be like, what are you talking about giving up? And so like keep that, whoever that is, think of that person that means the most to you, and imagine that they're doubting themselves like you're doubting themselves. So you'd have a talking to it with them. And so spend some time thinking about that and get fired up about it. And like, who's that person that you would do anything to keep from losing hope?
You know what? As you're talking, I can't help but think how amazing it would be to work out with you. Like you said, that like when you coach, you give some advice. It's like you're like this guru that people can work out with, and you're just giving little tidbits of information. They're like, oh my gosh, Stephen, okay. I love it.
I wish I could say it works all the time, but I try to sprinkle things in when I can.
Well, and that's how it works. And then like just like when you say having a vision, like it can sound corny because
Hmm.
things can sound a certain way, and it's just how we. There's a time and a place. Sometimes when you say it, somebody can hear something not for the first time, but it just clicks. I know that's been my
Oh yeah.
experience. You know what I mean? Because oh look, I've got a wife that's a yoga instructor, and she's always talked about a vision board. And I'm like, huh. But then it's like I realize, oh my God, no, writing things down and a vision of what you're going to do, that's the game changer. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing. It's just a different way of doing it or calling it something. And it just
Yeah.
takes certain things to make it click. All right. At the end of this, I want to talk about what are you promoting? Your Instagram, I want to say this while we're on here, is, I just had it up and it went away. Okay, so it is Cybernetic, Cybernetic underscore strongman. That's your Instagram account. What do you have coming up? What do you want to? Let's talk about what you have going on.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm currently working on like it's talk about creating a vision. I'm embarking on something brand new, which is building a speaking career. So I'm kind of building the foundations for that. But right now, I'm still trying to grow my coaching business. I have an assistant coach who's helping me get more clients than I can by myself. So I do in-person coaching in Austin, really Round Rock in Austin. I'm trying to grow online. So like I want to help more people than just in the local Austin area. So I do online coaching. Both again, I'm primarily a strength train. I'm a strength coach. I'm a strength coach who nerds the heck out on personal development, and so I'm trying to lean more into that. But um, so online coaching, and I'm also starting for people who that isn't the best fit for. Um, a weekly live group coaching call with people who can come in and I'm going to do a little bit of teaching on personal development and or training, strength training principles, Q&A, and reviewing people's lifting videos. So like it's like if you're in the group, you can volunteer your video to be critiqued, and we'll look at your form. We'll critique the form. We'll see how you can do better next week. And so that's available to clients as well as an individual membership if you just want to hop on the call every week. If you can't afford the coaching, but you want to be involved, you want to meet people, you want to learn. Um, so there's a level for everybody to jump in and grow together.
Where do you?
And
I mentioned earlier that you're coming up next year. Will be 10 years since you were injured.
mhm.
Yeah, we were 2025. Yeah, next year 2026. Where do you want to be in the next 10 years?
Man,
That's a
10
big
years.
question. That's a long way to look. But if
Yeah.
you had to just go off the cuff
Yeah.
right now, what's the first thing that pops in your mind?
I still want to be coaching people. I'll probably do this the rest of my life. I want to reach more people with my story, and so I'm going to Toastmasters once a week. I'm building my speaking skills. I'm doing really uncomfortable things that terrify me right now. But in 10 years, I want um, I want to travel the world, telling people my story. I want to be a professional speaker. I want my business to be a blend of coaching and speaking. I want to write a book. I'm working on my own podcast behind the scenes right now. I want to do everything I can to encourage people and take everything I've learned. It's like I've kind of I've been able to share it with my clients, but it's like I don't want to keep it to myself. I want to take everything I've learned as an adaptive athlete and just get that message out there. So in 10 years, I want to be reaching millions of people instead of 10,000.
Love that. Yeah, as soon as you get your podcast going, like hopefully mine is still going. I want to promote it. Like, I anything I can do to help, even in my social media, whatever, like I want to help promote
Oh,
that.
thank you, Noah.
Because I think you would. That was going to be one of my questions. Have you ever thought about doing a podcast like that? That just sounds like it would be a perfect fit for you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because no, it's your whole. I know I said it already, but your demeanor is really good. It's really calm, and you're easy to listen to. And I'll tell you what, as a speaker, I've been speaking for a long time. Toastmasters and things like that, I've always told people, the more you can get in front of people, it helps you relax. It helps get you where you need to be in that realm of just being comfortable. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then you start really working on how you create a story. You know what I mean? How you grab people's attention in the beginning, how you keep, the bandwidth of the listener is only so much. You start fine tuning your story, what's important, what's not. And then I've always told people that your closing is power. The more powerful your closing is, you can flop and mess up in a speech, but if you close strong, that's what people remember. That's
Yeah.
where it like grabs them, and then they're like, "Oh man, like I felt that." And I can't wait to see where you go in that world, because it's needed. People need to hear stories like yours, and you speak well. Just don't hear. You're going to be a great speaker. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
You probably already are. I don't know. But I love that when you said you're going to Toastmasters, because that's going to improve everything for you. Just the experience.
Yeah, it's weird. It's when I'm out of my comfort zone in terms of like just environment, it's crazy how nervous you can get, because I'm trying to do little like 10 minute speeches in my I host a strongman Saturday at my gym, and I just started it back up, and it's going great. And I'm like, I'm going to start each one of these with a speech. So those are reps that I can get. I'm going to do it at Toastmasters, but it's like, I feel so much more comfortable in the gym, which is, that's my world. So I'm like, these are my people. This is my place. And I'm way more comfortable when I get in front of Toast. I don't know what it is. So I was like, I got to just like break that ice and get the reps in,
Yeah. No, I mean, that's what it is. That's one of the biggest fears people have, is public speaking. And you're taking that on. Yeah. No, that's awesome. I think it's going to be great. Now, all right. So I had come across one day these deck of cards that they're titled "How Deep Will You Go," and they have different levels. And we have levels 1, 2, and 3. Now, they go from level 1. It says actually level 1 is an icebreaker. Level 2, confessions. Level 3, getting deep. So it'll get more emotional. Like we did it one time on the show with Chuck and I. One night, actually, just after doing a podcast, Chuck and I just sat here. It was late at night, not recording, and just going through them. I was like, I got these cards. Man, talk about building a friendship with somebody. Just sit there and go through these cards.
Oh, that's
but I'm gonna
awesome.
let you. Yeah, because it was really good. We had a really good conversation. Now, let me ask you, which level would you prefer, 1, 2, or 3? Now, I'm going to encourage you to go level 3, but I might even, if you say 1, I may just pick up 3. But you tell me 1 through 3, which one do you want?
Oh man. I mean, I'm an open book. Let's go for it.
All right, so level 3.
Let's do it.
Oh, do them all? Chuck says do them all.
We just build.
You know
I mean,
what?
hey,
All
the,
right.
the
You know
spirit of
what?
playing
Let's
at your
do
own
it.
level. We'll start with
Okay.
level 1.
I was just tempting you to see where you were. So, but we're going to start it off with level 1. All right, let's see. We're drawing out of the deck. Let's see. What's a song you play by yourself but never with other people? Well, that's pretty good.
Ooh. Okay. Let's see. I would say let's say guilty pleasure in terms of music would probably be Lady Gaga, Bad Romance.
Yeah? What is it
Yeah.
about that?
The tune, I don't know. Like the lyrics are dumb, but it's so.
Lyrics are dumb, but
But like the music, I'm very, very, very musical, and music can, I'm a metalhead at the core. I'm going to a metal show next week, but
who's playing in it?
I'm mainly going to see August Burn Dread, who is my favorite band. But it's also going to have a Trivium, Bullet for My Valentine,
Yeah.
and that's all I remember. But yeah,
So when you're by
but
yourself, you'll sneak on a little Lady Gaga.
every now and then.
I respect it. I respect
Before we
it.
go on, Noah, let's get your answer.
My answer?
Ooh, about to sneak away from that.
Okay. Okay. So I will. I'll tell you what it is. It is because when I've read it, this song immediately popped in my head that I listen to by myself. And to make sure I have everything right, I'm going to pull it up on my phone. I actually have a playlist of songs I listen to by myself.
Need
um, but
to
this one
enter a
right
password
here,
to get into it.
yeah. It's actually the song I listen to by myself is Harry Styles' "Sign of the Times."
Okay.
I don't think I'm not embarrassed by the song. It's just some, like you said, like there's something about the melody, the tune, and listen to it, and the words. For me, it's just I like to listen to it by myself. And like I said, it's on a playlist that if I go through that playlist, there's gonna be some crying in the car. You know what I mean? Like there's some. I'm trying to get some emotions out, and I have songs that do that for me. And that's a song that I just really enjoy. So that's mine. Chuck's, what's yours? Since you chiming in and putting me on the spot.
I guess I'd have to go with. That's a tough one. Sabrina Carpenter's got a good one. My wife listens to. I can't remember the name of it, but we listened to it about a dozen times going out to Colorado and back.
Yeah, and you like it.
And now I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember what song it is, but it's Sabrina Carpenter. I know that.
All right.
Nice. Yeah, so honorable mentions because I was just going for maximum embarrassment there, but
All right, come on. What's another one you
so
got?
I love Simple Man, but saying the cover that was done by Brent Smith and Shinedown.
Yes.
Phenomenal cover. Like you got to be careful when you cover a song that good, but
Yeah.
and then last one, a cover by "I Knew You Were Trouble" by Taylor Swift, covered by We Came as Romans.
Ah, I haven't heard that one.
Oh
Pull that
man,
one up later.
it's good.
Is it? Oh yeah. All right, I'm gonna check
Yeah.
that one out. All right.
Okay.
Level two. What is something you will never do again?
Okay,
All right.
so I've never really been into marijuana. I smoked at first with my stepdad, which was hilarious. He pressured me into smoking with him. It worked. That was fun. That was fine. But recently, I guess I don't know. It was about a year and a half ago. I was like, what if I switch to some of the legal edibles that you can buy here in Austin? That it's these weird loopholes like Delta 8, Delta 9.
Yeah,
I don't know much
I've been in
about
Austin. I'm aware.
it. So I was like, what if I do that instead of beer for a while, just to kind of like, lose some fat and maybe save some money, that kind
They
of
call
thing.
that being California sober.
California sober, nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
now I know that. So yeah, I was like, okay, and then I started off really slow because I knew you got to be careful with edibles.
Yeah.
So I worked my way up I did half a gummy, then I did, the next time I did one. It's like so far so good. Like I'm not that high. So I go gummy and a half, thinking it's just going to be a little bit more than last time.
Yeah.
And bad idea. I mean, the moment I remember the moment that I was like, I'm pretty high right now. And then from there on, it was a roller coaster of terror because I was like, it got worse and I got more and more high. And I realized I can't get off this ride. I can't get off. Like, I don't know how long it's going to last. I'm probably going to have a heart attack.
You're paranoid.
And mega crazy paranoid. It was awful. I will never, ever do edibles again. Can't make it.
Yeah. I've always said, like, I know people that do it, and you don't know when it's going to hit you, your body, how it digests things, if you ate that day, if you didn't eat, like man. I don't see how people, I guess they know what they're doing or they know themselves, they can time it. I never could. And it was like, you don't know if I never knew if I was going to be giddy and just having a good time or miserable and paranoid when it came to edibles. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say mine would have to be, and it's corny to say, 2 reasons. Like I'd never get married again. One, I don't want to lose. I don't want to be out of the marriage I'm in. So hopefully that's never even an option. You know what I mean? But if something ever happened, I would never.
Mm.
I don't think I've reached a level. I've been married twice before. I was married in the military, got injured, lost that wife, rushed
Mm.
into a second marriage, ended that, and then took some time, and then I'm with this woman that has raised the bar so high
Mm.
that I would never even attempt to try to match that. So I say that not to be like, oh, marriage sucks. I would never do this again. No, I have a wife that has raised that bar that if
Yeah.
anything ever happened, I don't think I could ever get married ever again. Like this better she says she's gonna live to be 101. I said, well, I'm either gonna go before you or I'm going the day after because I'm not gonna I was like, I can't do this without you. So that's for me is I would never want to do something like that ever again. It's hard enough
Yeah.
to tell people you're on your third marriage. I don't want to be the guy that's
Oh,
my
well.
fourth, my fifth.
Oh,
I have a
well.
grandpa. I had a grandfather. He passed away. I think he was married like 5 or 6 times before he finally. The first one, my grandmother passed away really young, and
Mm.
I think he just struggled finding people from there on. And then it wasn't until who he was with when he passed away that was a good woman, but they were late in life, and he had gone through a lot of crazies before then.
Man, sometimes I second that. Like for the same reason, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to do it again. Happily married, and we'll say to each other sometimes because some of our younger friends who are still in the dating scene, they're like, we'll hear stories, and sometimes we'll just look at each other and go,
Like, oh, I'm glad I'm not doing that.
"Oh my gosh, I'm glad." Like, I never want to do that again. That like never again. Like, especially
Dating
now.
sucks.
Oh my gosh. Um, yeah. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, Chuck, what would you never do again?
Well, I have to say I agree with both of you on those because I've had experience with both.
Yeah.
Amazing wife.
Yep, he
Never
does. He has
gonna,
a great
never,
wife.
never going to get married again. And then I also had a very similar situation where I decided to take a gummy and a half. And
Mm.
you ever use Google Street View where you click and it zooms? I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
walking the dog, and every time I'd stop, the whole room would catch up to me. Oh, but you know what? Neither one of those. I'm going to go. I'm going to add a third one in. Kind of along the same lines as the edible. There was a synthetic marijuana that was going around for a
Ooh.
while when I was in high school. I can't remember what it was called, but you bought it at the gas station, and it said on the label, "Not for ingestion," but everybody knew that you smoked it. You got to say. And I did it one time, and man, I can't explain the feeling I had, but I know I've never never gave it a second thought. I'll never do that again.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I remember in the 90s, I had a buddy of mine that was a big guy, loved to work out, and I loved fitness. I worked out. I wasn't into, like, he smoked. I didn't. And he was like, man, I like to get high and then work out. I was like, that
Oh
sounds
my
miserable.
gosh.
And
Wow.
I was like, yeah, I tried it once and was like, no, this is not how I want to experience the gym or a heavy barbell.
Oh my god, I was just thinking about that, like bench pressing while high. I'm just like, he was like, woo.
Yeah, nope, not. I don't know how he did it, but whatever. Teach their own. All right, last one. This is level 3.
All right.
What do you wish people knew about you? So, what is something that nobody knows that you wish they knew?
Uh, so I have other hobbies. These days I'm like, I'm all in on building a business, but like I love woodworking. Um, I've been on and off. I've been doing woodworking since I was a kid. Um, and I love making stuff for people as like gifts. I'd much rather do that than like buy something. So I like getting exotic woods and making like a special box or that sort of thing. So I love woodworking, and I used to before I was a lover of strength and fitness, I was a musician for about 10 years. I played saxophone.
What?
Yeah,
That is awesome.
yeah.
So, do you still play?
I don't. It's one of those instruments where is excuses. I could have done it if I wanted to, if it meant enough to me. But apartment complexes don't take kindly to practicing your saxophone.
Yeah.
I was like, man, why didn't I learn guitar or something where like I could play by myself? Like, dang. So
Yeah, so you haven't played in a long time. That is super. That man, you have to pick that back up. Like that would be
I know
awesome.
it's
What a
yeah,
cool, because
careless
that's a
whisper
cool
going.
instrument.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. Oh, so fun. And
Like, what did you
not that
play?
hard
Like,
to.
were you into jazz or?
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, so I played tenor saxophone primarily. That was my favorite saxophone, and I did jazz. There were sort of competitions in high school. You competed to be in a jazz band, and then you practice and play one big show. And that was one of the most incredible experiences of my life was learning jazz. And just like up until that point, I had just played like really classical stuff and band and then learning jazz. It was just like, oh my gosh, there's just so much more character and soul to it. And yeah, so I still um, love me some jazz music.
Do you? I'm picturing it now. You sitting out by a fire pit, jazz music playing. You got your cigar. Like you're that guy, aren't you?
Oh man, I mean, and I've never combined all of those things in one go, but
But you
but
would.
oh now I want to.
Yeah. When I come to Austin, we're gonna sit around, smoke cigars, and listen to jazz music.
Oh man, bring it.
And I'll tell you what. That so for me, what do you wish people knew about you? I have always wanted to play an instrument.
Okay.
Uh, my father played guitar and he said when he was in high school, he was in a band with other people in high school, but he was also in a band of people older than him. Like it drove his mother crazy. He'd be out at the bars as a teenager into the
Wow.
wee morning, late wee hours of the morning, and he played guitar. And then when he was 18, he lost his left hand. He's below the elbow, but same side as me.
Oh man.
And he loved music so much, he can play the piano.
Okay.
And it was kind of obnoxious when we were kids because he'd sit at the table with his keyboard and play music just constantly. Like he didn't know how to read music. He knew how to hear music and play it. And he would play with it. And I was always jealous of that. I took some piano lessons when I was younger. Never really stuck. I have bought more than one harmonica in my life with the intentions of learning to play it, especially since I've been injured. I'm like, what would be a great instrument to play with one hand is a harmonica. And I actually just recently, my wife got one for our 2-year-old. He loves music. He's like, my 20-year-old plays guitar. Like music, just, he's got it from my father. It kind of skipped me, but I'm trying to force my way in. So for me, mine is like, I'm going to learn to play an instrument
Yeah.
eventually. Preferably the harmonica. I'm really going to start working on it. I get distracted and get too busy, but I had a friend of mine the other day tell me the harmonica is perfect because it just goes in your back pocket. Carry it
Oh,
everywhere you go
there you
and
go.
just get it
Absolutely.
out. And when my wife bought my 2-year-old a harmonica to play with, and we got mine out, I realized how fun it is to just play with it and just I'm like, you know what, if I just stick with it, maybe I could learn. I'm not expecting to be requested to come on stage with any bands anytime soon. But I just like to be able to play when we're sitting around the fire pit smoking cigars.
Oh
I'd
yeah.
love to be that guy that maybe just breaks out a harmonica and hits a few notes.
Yeah. I think when I would love one day to get back into music. I I I think just like in strength training, like when you're new to it as an adult, I think having a coach, having a teacher is so if you can afford it, I think it's just so priceless to have someone who can hold you accountable and make you do it
Yes.
and make it approachable and give you the steps and so like I think about doing it again and I'm like I'm gonna have to have a teacher when I do this again.
And that's super smart. Now, you said that when we were talking earlier. When you mentioned your coach, said, "All right, go for the 300." I love when you heard it. I was like, "Oh, I love that you said that," because here you are a coach, and even as a coach, you need a coach. You know the
Oh yeah.
importance of having to be coached because that's a lot of people struggle with that. I have a teenager that has struggled with that. With you think you know it all, or you're learning it on your own. and you've got this motivation, but it's like, but you're missing that key component that a coach can do for you.
No, like, I mean, being a student is one of the most important things you can adopt as a mindset and keep the rest of your life. Like, I mean, as a world class adaptive strongman, I have a coach. Like, you may have heard, strongman fans will have heard of Big Laws, Lawrence Chatelet of the UK. He's been coaching me for a few years now, and we've become really good friends. And he knows me so well because he's been my coach for 3 years, and having someone you can trust like that, and just gosh, like, do yourself a favor and be a student. Always be a student.
I talking about, earlier talking about working on improving, entering the world of being a speaker. I've been speaking for 20 years.
Wow.
And I had told my wife, I was like, I want to make improvements. I feel like I should be taking some courses just to make it even better. And then lo and behold, a guest I had on the podcast, Diego, friend of mine, Navy SEAL, he decided to start a program to teach veterans and first responders how to share their story, how to speak. And I
Oh,
went
that's
and
awesome.
took his course in San Diego and loved it. It improved what my craft. And then now he wants me to come be part of the team, because once we
Oh,
started
wow.
working with people, like, it was obvious that I speak, and so it was, I benefited from it from both angles. You know what I mean? Now here's another thing that I'm going to start doing to help people speak, but I'm also improving myself as a speaker, because it was a great course. And yeah, that's all we can do in life. If you want to improve, you have to be a student and be learning what you need to do to make those changes.
Yeah, and it makes it more fun.
It does. It does. It makes it much more fun, much more enjoyable. Um, Stephen, you're awesome.
Oh, thank you, Noah.
Like this was so enjoyable having you on. Again, you're a great speaker. I have no doubt you're going to be amazing as you start to improve on stage, getting those nerves out, and then start speaking. Let me know when you start your podcast.
Okay.
To everyone that's listening, Cybernetic Strongman. It's Cybernetic _ Strongman. We're going to
Correct.
share it in our link. That's your Instagram. Is there a website?
There's not a website yet, but
Okay.
if you have
We'll
any
edit me
interest
asking
in,
that question out. No, I'm just kidding.
um, yeah, gosh, making a good website, by the way, that is hard. But
Yeah, no, I'm no help, so I don't know.
um, but yeah, if you're interested in anything at all about what we've talked about, everybody gets a free consultation. DM me on Instagram. Just DM me a free consultation, and you'll get 30+ minutes with me. If you don't sign up, we'll still part as friends. Maybe you could learn something. I can walk you through something that you're going through in the gym or in life or business, and that would be next step if you want to get connected.
That is awesome. I love that. I love that you shared that. I'm glad we got that out there. And then you're going to do your book. Do your book, man. Like, and I'll tell you what I did when I did mine, I had met someone early on in my injury that did the first national story on me, and there was a video and there was a written piece. And I remember when I read the written piece, something in it, I never thought about doing a book, but I was like, if I ever do a book, I'm gonna ask this person to help me. And then as I got attention, like, I would meet people all the time that were like, hey, if you ever do a book, let me be your ghostwriter. But I always knew that there was that person I'd met. And then one day I reached out to her and was like, hey, what are you doing? And she was in between jobs, and I was like, I want to hire you to write my book. And she was so good at, when we worked on it, she knew how to ask the right questions, to pull things out of me, and then help us do that book. If you decide to go that route, it's worth doing with someone you trust, or you might just be, I may be talking to someone that's an amazing writer. That's just as good if you can do it. I am not, so I brought someone in to help me do it,
That's
but it
great.
was worth it. It was great. I'm glad I did it, and I think you should definitely do a book.
Oh, thank you. I,
You have
I
so
really
much
appreciate that encouragement.
insight and knowledge that needs to be shared, and your story alone that people can learn from. And no, I am honored to know you now.
I'll right back at you, Noah.
So this is awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, to everybody that listened, I hope you enjoyed listening to Stephen Moore. Remember the Cybernetic Strongman, Cybernetic_Strongman on Instagram. Reach out to him. This is a guy that wants to connect, wants to make a difference. He can help you. And, we're going to look forward to a book, a podcast, so many other things from Stephen. I hope you got everyone that's listening. I hope you all found something in there, even if you don't want to be a strong man. Look, I know I heard a lot of bits and pieces that Stephen said that are truly inspiring and can click for a lot of us in a way that makes us realize what we want to do. And I'm going to say something else that he said when he mentioned, he may not be new to working out, but he's new to doing it in that body after he was injured. And that's something we can all learn from when we're starting something over or starting something for the first time. Like he said, don't start at level 10. Start at level 1. Start working your way up. That's how progression and success work. So I hope you enjoyed this episode and look forward to sharing more amazing stories like Stephen Moore's in the future. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this episode, let us know in the comments. And if there's anybody you'd like to see on the Living with No Excuses podcast, let us know that as well. And of course, hit that subscribe button and let's build a community together.